Ben. Oh, my apologies.
For the record, Scott Forbes with Comfish. Proposal 137. This proposal would increase the possession limit from 15 to 30 sockeye salmon to match the 30 fish annual limit, Mr. Chair.
Would the proposer like to speak to this? Anyone else?
For the record, my name is Paulette Marino. I reside in Sitka, and I serve as the 6th Vice President of Central Council of Tlingit and Haida Indian Tribes of Alaska. In regard to our support for Proposal 137, Tlingit and Haida supports his proposal from the Hoonah Indian Association that would increase sockeye salmon possession limits from 15 to 30 at Basket Bay to allow subsistence users of the Hoonah, Tenakee, and Angoon communities the opportunity to harvest their limit in fewer trips without increasing overall harvest of the Basket Bay stock.
Anyone else like to speak to this?
Keenan Sanderson, Ketchikan Tlingit Community Council. We also support this proposal. Just giving a little bit of rationale based off of what I've seen in department comments. It appears from the data that's been collected by the department, it appears that generally speaking, a lot of people only make one run in this particular fishery per year and generally hit their 15 fish cap while doing so. And what that tells me is that kind of two things are happening. One, and this is kind of speculation, but this is probably or very similar to issues that we have here in Ketchikan, is that a lot of people probably only have the funds to make one particular trip to this area. I don't know what it would cost in terms of gas to get to and from this location, but it certainly isn't cheap. It's kind of, again, similar to what we're experiencing here in Ketchikan. But also, if they're hitting their 15 fish cap, it's not necessarily what they need, but that's what they're getting based off of their circumstances, what they're actually like capable of doing financially. So odds are what I would expect to see, anecdotally obviously, but what I would expect to see is that if you're upping this bag limit to 30 as opposed to 15, you're probably not going to be seeing very many people reach that 30 fish limit. It's probably going to be somewhere in between 15 and 30, which would be what that particular household's needs are. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's certainly what has happened when bag limits have increased in other areas, both in Ketchikan and Prince of Wales, from my experience.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Calvin Cassavet. I'm with the Southeast Subsistence Regional Advisory Council. The council supported this proposal as well, in addition to the proposal that we submitted. You know, the limits are lower on this one, but we still support it in case ours is not accepted. I also wanted to mention something about daily limits and annual limits, and this is not me speaking as a representative of the council, but this is speaking as a person who's heard a lot of testimony at council meetings about annual limits and daily limits. And I believe that the most important, I mean, it's important for us to put in, I'm not so much concerned about daily limits, but as far as the annual limit goes, I would like to see all these systems just be annual limits. No daily limits, no possession limits, just an annual limit. And people can choose if they want to go on a trip, if they want to take their whole annual limit on that time, or they only take half of it because, you know, they have limited processing capacity back at home and they're going to come back next week. But it leaves flexibility for the users themselves to decide how they want to fish that annual limit. And that's just my opinion, and that's kind of how I look at things. But it just seems to me just having an annual limit and letting people choose how they want to fish it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill 07, Madam Chair.
37, please.
Proposal 137, 5 AAC 01.745, subsistence bag and possession limits, annual limits.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Staff comments.
This proposal would increase the possession limit from 15 to 30 sockeye salmon to match the 30 fish annual limit, and I'd ask the board to reflect on the positions I just stated, Madam Chair.
Thank you for that. Board discussion. Mr. Wood.
Yeah, as I stated before, I think reducing it a little bit more modest, this makes total sense for making the trip, and you get to hopefully harvest all your fish and be done. And it seemed to have an overwhelming amount of support as well, so I will be supporting it.
Other board comments? Makes good sense to me. Just cut down on the cost associated with the subsistence harvest. I think that is practical and warranted in this case, in this location, so I'm going to be supportive of 137. Other board discussion? Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd reference my subsistence regulation review from the prior proposal. And approval of this proposal is not expected to result in additional direct cost for a private person to participate in the fishery, and approval of this proposal is not expected to result in additional cost to the department. I'd call the question.
Question has been called. Director Payton.
No, Madam Chair.
Mr. Bowers.
No, Madam Chair.
Director Rita.
No, Madam Chair.
Mr. Peterson.
No, Madam Chair.
Captain DeGraff.
No, Madam Chair.
Director Nelson.
Final action on proposal 137. Carlson Van Dort.
Yes.
Carpenter.
Yes.
Wood.
Yes.
Godfrey.
Yes.
Svensson.
Yes.
Chamberlain.
Yes.
Zaret.
Yes.
That motion carries 7-0, Madam Chair.